Hello students, welcome to Standard 12th online tutorial. Today we shall talk about a new chapter, that is chapter number 5, Principles of Inheritance and Variation. Now, in this chapter what we shall study? We shall talk about the contribution of the George Graham Mendel, who was the known as the father of genetics. We shall also talk about his discoveries in the field of genetics, how the factors or these genes so-called control the character of a trait, we can say. What are the monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, incomplete dominance, co-dominance. Apart from that, we'll also talk about the how does the artificial and the natural selection takes place, what are the principles of that, and what are the law of dominance, law of, we can say, constant proportion, we can say, law of independent assortment. These laws we shall study in this chapter. Now see children, there is a question to all of us that we look like our parents but we do not exactly resemble the parents. Now of course the answer that lies within us is what class? That is, with the help of the sexual reproduction we look like our parents' children. Now on the other hand, it is interesting to know that why do we, or what is the common factor that distinguishes that we look like our parents or we have some characteristics of the parents in us. It is because that we have the genes present in them. Now, have you ever wondered that why an elephant give birth to a baby elephant? Why does a dog give birth to a puppy? Why does a cat, or what you can say, a cat give birth to a kitten? Why does human being give birth to babies? And why not the dogs give rise to another animal children? So the answer to this question is that the organism, they undergo like or you can say like begets like. Now like begets like meaning the organism which is there, the same organism will it be. So this is what the thing is. Now on the other hand, the thing is that we as a parent, we have some characteristics in them. Yani our offsprings, as we are multicellular organism children, we do pass our the genes into our children. Not only ours, the mother also passes the genes from the parents to the offsprings. Now that principles leads us to a concept of, we can say, heredity. Now first of all, heredity is defined as transmission of characters from parents to offspring. It is known as the what children? That is the heredity. Now the thing is that the scientist who first gave the concept of heredity and the inheritance and the variation was George Graham Mendel. Now basically let us talk about the history of the George Mendel. Basically this guy was a statistician, a mathematician, but owing to that he wanted to become a teacher. When he passed on the examination of teacher in the school, he didn't pass out. So what he did was he led a monastic life in the church, and this monastic life in the church was being not being favorable for his circumstances to live with. So what he did was he started to grow the plants in the backyard of the church, and the common plant that he grew was the pea plant. This pea plant, we can say, he grew on the backyard of the church, and while growing the pea plant at the backyard, he came to see many of the contrasting characters and variations. Now variations means what children? Variation is defined as the differences which are observed among the individuals of the same species. It is known as the what children? Variation. So what do you mean by variation children? Difference is are observed among the individuals of the same species, that is known as the what children? Variation. Now over here, when we are talking about variation, let us take an example of human beings or the Homo sapiens. See, Homo sapiens, they are nothing but the group of species, we can say, but all the organisms, they differ from individual to individual. Okay, and that is for that reason. Okay, the variation which are differences which are being observed among the individuals of the same species, it is known as the what children? That is the variation. Okay, now George Mendel, he took the pea plant deliberately. Now why he took the pea plant deliberately? Because he wanted so much of variety, okay, in a plant that he can study. So for that reason, we can say choose the pea plant. The other reason is that the pea plant have a shorter reproductive lifespan, meaning the pea plant can reproduce easily at a shorter interval of time. So this was easier for the Mendel to study at what you can say different characters and different traits at the same time. And the other reason is that the pea plant had undergone self and the cross pollination very easily. So for that reason, Mendel chose the pea plant deliberately, okay, to grow at the backyard of the church, you can say. Now, interestingly, he came to a conclusion that the characters which are being controlled by, we can say, an organism, okay, they are known as the factors. They are known as the what children? Factors. Initially, these factors did not have any name, but after the discovery of the other scientists and the study, it found out that these factors are generally known as the genes. And now genes are present in the what children? DNA. Now what is the full form of DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. And this DNA is present in the what class? Nucleus. So basically this transfer of the genes, we can say, they led to the what children? Okay, the controlling character, or it helps in establishing a character for a particular organism, we can say. Okay, now what did the George Mendel did, children? Okay, he studied all the characters of the plant. What are the characters or what are the traits that he studied? Let us write down and study one by one, children. Now, the thing is that the first characters that he took about was seed shape, then the seed color, then the stem height, now then the pod color, pod shape, okay, then the flower color. Okay, now the seed shape, that is, there are two contrasting characters. The one is the dominant and the other one is the recessive. So the seed shape was being, we can say, round, dominant, whereas its contrasting characters is known as the what children? Wrinkle. What do you mean by dominant and recessive? We will study later on in this video lecture. Seed color, that is the yellow and the green. Now stem height, that is the axial and the terminal, or we can say stem height, let it be tall, and the dwarf. Dwarf meaning short. Now pod color, that is the, we can say, green and yellow. Now the pod shape, that is the full and the constricted. Okay, and the flower color, that is the violet and the white. Okay, and the other one, that is the, we can say, flower position. That is the axial and the terminal. Now, over here, he took all the parameters and studied one by one and came to the conclusion. Now, the first thing that he did was an experiment, was the theory of monohybrid cross. It is known as the what, children? Monohybrid cross. Now, we'll study detail again this thing. So, I hope you are clear with the characters that he took for understanding the variation and the study of genetics in the pea plant, children. So, all these characters he found out to be in the pea plant, and that is for that reason he took this, okay, as a reference to draw the conclusion. Now, let us talk about the basic concept of the, okay, genetics, and then we shall move on to the monohybrid cross, children. Now, see, children, the first thing is that genes, we can say, they are always present in pairs. Like, see, a chromosome, they are always present in pairs. Now, in chromosome, that is the what, children? DNA. So, this is the chromosome. Now, this chromosome has two arms, one arm and the other arm. So, the one arm is known as what, children? That is the chromatid. And the point joining between them is known as the centromere or chiasmata. Okay. Now, in this spiral-like structure, there is the what, children? DNA. And DNA has what class, children? Genes. Now, these genes, as they are present in the, we can say, chromosome in the form of 2, these genes are also found in pair of 2, we can say. So, for example, let us consider for our references, that is, genes may be for a stem height. Now, that stem height may be either of tall or dwarf. Now, the genes for this tall, as I told you, they are found in what class, children? Pairs. So, this will be capital T or capital T. Okay. Now, this capital T and capital T. Now, the contrasting characters, it is known as the what, children? Alleles. It is known what, children? Alleles. Any doubt over here, children? Now, see, genes may be dominant or recessive. Now, what do you mean by dominant and recessive, children? So, the gene which expresses itself is known as the dominant, and the gene which does not express itself is known as the recessive. Likewise, see, I don't know mathematics, or let us say I know biology. So, if a question is being asked in a class of 20 students and I am a teacher, but an outside doesn't know that I am a teacher, and someone asks me the questions, so who the best person to give the answer is? Me. That is, I know the answer probability. Okay. So, I am dominant in biology than the other people. Okay. Now, if a question of maths is being asked, okay, and I, of course, I do not know maths. So, what happens is that the other people will answer. So, I am recessive in maths than them. So, in other ways we can say is that they are dominant in maths, I am recessive in maths. I am dominant in biology, okay, they are recessive in biology. Okay, now dominant will always express itself, whereas recessive will not express itself. Now, for a tallness of a plant, we can say, like tallness of a plant can be of two criteria. See, children, the first one may be T. Now, if both the genes are being dominant, you see capital. See, children, one thing you need to remember is that always the dominant will be, or dominant gene will be expressed in capital letters, Again I am repeating, the dominant character will be always expressed in capital letters in any of the cases. So here I am taking this termite. So tall will be what, children? T. So this is one probability, children. Another probability will be what, class? Capital T, small t. Now over here both the genes, any of the genes will express, the resultant character will be what, children? That is the tall. Over here the one gene is capital and the other one gene is small, meaning recessive. So this is for which denotation? That is the dwarf. That is the what, children? Dwarf. Okay. So this recessive and the dominant and the recessive. So which gene will express over here? This gene, capital T. So the resultant height of a plant will be what? Tall. Yeah, this plant we can say will have the traits of recessive gene present in them, but they will not express. Why? Because the dominant gene is present over here. Over here both the genes are what, children? Okay, the dominant. So any one of the either of the case or the gene expresses, the resultant plant will be what, children? Tall, we can say. Okay. Now over here what we need to do is that, suppose I am taking a height of a plant and the plant height is tall. So there are two cases. Which are the two cases, children? Tall and tall. Capital T, capital T, capital T, small t. Okay. Now a question may be arise to you, okay, sir, can it be small t, small t? So the resultant character will be what, children? That is the dwarf. Why? Because, children, it will be both the genes are being in the recessive form, children. Okay, for that reason. Understood? Okay. I hope you are clear with the concept, children. Now another one is that, okay, you are having a doubt again in your mind. You are having you should have a question that, sir, for tall we have taken TT. Okay, it's understood, that is tall. Why not for dwarf we have taken DD, that is small d, small d? See, for our understanding, we have taken, we can say, the alleles. Alleles means what, children? The opposite. Okay, contrasting characters. And for that reason, for our simplicity, Mendel also took this as TT. Now, see, it is not a harm to take this, but what happens is that every now and then we have to remember that what is the contrasting character of this dwarf. So in that, we have taken the alleles of this tall, that is the dwarf, that is the small t, small t. Okay, so these are the basis of that. Now another thing is that, see, if the genes are, we can say, pure meaning say 100%, like TT. So both the genes are, we can say, pure, right? That is dominant. Okay, that is known as the homozygous. It is known as the what, children? Homozygous. यानी कि अगर ये दो जीन्स एक समान है तो उसको मैं क्या कहूंगा? होमोजाइगस. अब इसका रिजल्टेंट देखो क्या होगा? बोथ द जीन्स आर व्हाट? डोमिनेंट. तो द प्लांट हाइट विल बी व्हाट? टॉल और शॉर्ट? इट विल बी टॉल, चिल्ड्रन. तो होमोजाइगस टॉल. Understood? Any doubt over here, children? Now look at this, children. Again the same case, this part, small t, small t. So what will happen is that both the genes are pure. Okay, it will be known as the homozygous. But what will be the resultant characters of this plant, children? That will be the dwarf. Now again a question that will become to your mind, that is, what if the genes are mixed? Okay, a hybrid one, that is dominant and the recessive. So in that case it will be heterozygous. And what will be the resultant characters of this? इनमें से कौन सा एक्सप्रेस कर रहा होगा? ये वाला, because ये dominant है यहाँ पे. Okay, that is heterozygous tall children. Okay, understood? That is why. Any doubt over here, children? Okay, so this is. Now, the other two terminologies that I would like to teach you is about, we can say, phenotype and the genotype. See, phenotype meaning observable or the morphological characteristics, morphological characteristics. Now genotype, that is the genetical constitution. Okay, now over here the thing is that, see, phenotype यानी कि morphological, see, I'm seeing an individual, I can tell whether it's a boy or a girl or a black or a white or a short or a tall, any of the characteristics. But can I understand the genetic constitution by seeing the phenotype? Or can I say कि is, for example, a person say A is tall, okay, so can I say his father is tall or his mother will be short? No, I need to study the genetical constitution or the genes in that. So that is known as the what, children? The genotype. So over here, see, let us take this. This is what? Phenotype. And this is what, children? Genotype. Okay, so that you need to understand. So the expression trait, okay, characteristics is termed as what? Phenotype. And TT or this, they are known as both what class? Genotype. It is known as what, children? Genotype. So I hope you are clear with the concept. Just look at this and then we shall move on to the monohybrid cross, and that we shall study one by one, children. Okay. Okay, children. So I hope you are clear with the phenotype, genotype, homozygous, heterozygous, tall, dwarf, centromere, chromosome, allele, genes, factors, everything, children. Now let us move on with the what you can say, the first experiment that the Mendel did was monohybrid cross. Monohybrid cross. Now see, monohybrid cross meaning what, children? Mono means single, hybrid means mixing. So what he did was, he underwent the hybridization of two characters or one characters at a time. Now let us say he took the parents, that is the male, and the female plant. Now the phenotype, what he took was, the plant was tall, we can say. What it was? Tall. So the stem of the plant, we can say, was tall, and the female plant he took was of dwarf, we can say. Now we know the genotype, children. Genotype meaning what, children? Genetic constitution. So what is the genetic constitution of tall? Let us say it is pure homozygous. So what will come? Capital T, capital T. That is capital T, capital T. And dwarf meaning small t, small t. Okay, so this is, now we need to do what, children? That is the mixing. So the F1 generation that we get over here, that is capital T, small t. Now you must be thinking, sir, why not be capital T, small t, small t? It's one and the same case. Chahe yellow, ya yellow, ya yellow, ya yellow. It's one and the same case. So in that case, it cannot be a fair. We are taking only one genes from both the sides. So what will be the resultant characteristics of this plant? What will be the height of this plant, children? Tall or dwarf? Of course it will be tall. Why? Because it is dominant. And is this a what you can say, pure genes or a pure allele, we can say? No, it is a hybrid one. So it will be homozygous, we can say, tall. Okay, it will be homozygous tall. Now the first generation that we got is known as the F1 generation or known as the filial generation. Okay, it is known as the what, children? Filial generation or F1 generation. Now in the exam, if you write F1 generation, it is also the same case, we can say. Okay, now, so we can say out of the plants that the Mendel took, tall and the dwarf, the first generation that he always got was what of tall, meaning the dominant gene always expressed themselves. So out of that, out of the 100% what you can say characters that took, 100% plants were, we can say, what, tall. Okay, now let us do some other thing. That is, what he did was, he took the plant, that is the male and the female, having mixed characters like this one. He took the F1 generation as a parent over here, and female again this same, we can say. Okay, understood? Let us talk. Now in this case, what we shall do? We shall go for the making of the Punnett square. Now it is male. So what is the symbol coming over here? That is the, and the female, that is the, this one. Okay. Now let us talk about the Punnett square. That is the F2 generation. So TT will come over here. T, T, and the female, capital T, small t. So this is the male part, and this is the female part. Okay. So just what you need to do, you just need to play a game, children. Capital T, capital T. So what will happen over here? Capital T, capital T. Okay. And capital T, small t. So capital T, small t. Capital T, small t. And small t, small t. Small t, small t. So now see, children, look over here. What is the expression of this plant, children? Tall. What is the expression of this plant? Again, tall. Again this plant, tall. And again this plant, short. So, meaning to say short, or we can say dwarf. So, out of the, what you can say, whole, okay, generation, F2 generation of the 4 species that have been produced. Okay, 3/4 generation, yani ki 3/4 generation was, we can say, tall, and 1/4 was, we can say, short, or we can say dwarf. Okay, now let us calculate the two ratios, that is the phenotype and the genotype. Now phenotype means observable morphological characteristics, meaning मुझे जो दिख रहा है वो मुझे लिखना है, यानी कि इनमें से कितने टॉल है चिल्ड्रन? 1 2 3, that is 3:1. So that will be tall and the one will be short, or we can say dwarf. Okay, now let us talk about the genotype, children. So the genotype will be what, children? That will be on the basis of genetic constitution. ऐसे कितने हैं? TT वाला 1. ऐसे जीन्स कितने हैं यहाँ पे इन बॉक्स में? पुनीत, दिस इज नोन एज द पुनीत स्क्वायर. क्या बोलेंगे उसको? पुनीत स्क्वायर. Capital T, small t, capital T, small t. So there are 2. And ये कितना है? 1. That is the 1. Okay, understood. So this 1 will be what class? Capital T, capital. So it is homozygous tall. It is what, children? Homozygous tall. This one will be what? Heterozygous tall. Tall है लेकिन कौन सा है? Hybrid. So it is heterozygous tall. Heterozygous tall. And this one, this will be homozygous but dwarf. That will be homozygous dwarf. Understood? So this is the interpretation of the, we can say what, Punnett square. Now let us do in the fraction. So see 3/4 यानी कि 3/4 are what class tall, यानी कि 3/4 are tall and 1/4 are, we can say, short. Okay, so 4/4 see 1 2 3 4. If it will be LCM तो क्या होगा 4/4 1 1. So the thing is that the ratio should not be changed or should not exceed the amount of, we can say, the product that you get, children. Okay, now let us talk about this. So it will be what, children? That is the 1/4. Okay, then the 2/4, then the 1/4 again. Now it is in the expression of, we can say, ax plus by square. That is 1/2t plus 1/2 t square is equal to 1/2t into 1/2t plus 1/2t into 1/2t. So that will give you what, children? Okay, that is 1/2t plus 1/2t. Okay, we can say that is, okay, the form of, we can say, the whole square as such. Understood? Now, so for that, what did the Mendel did? Okay, he crisscrossed with the, what we can say, the same parent. Now, this type of cross that we do is known as the back cross. It is known as the what, children? Back cross. Yani ki, if I am taking a plant like TT and I am mixing with again the same characters, so this female character is known as the what, children? Back cross. And what I need to do is, if I am doing capital the male plant with the recessive one, then it is known as the test cross. It is known as the what, children? Test cross. Okay, so if I am taking the same female plant to that of the male, it is known as the back cross. But if I am taking recessive female, okay, with the characters, then it is known as the test cross. Okay, now what you do is, I'll give you a homework today, children. Okay, after watching this video, just solve this sum and submit it to me via WhatsApp, children. Okay, so if you can note it down, you can note it down, and afterwards I'll give you the sum for solving, children. So I hope you are clear with the concept, children. Now what I am doing is, I am giving you a homework, children. Just calculate the phenotype and genotype of the, we can say, okay, phenotype, that is, I am taking the, we can say, the seed shape, that is, we can say, round, which is dominant, and female, that is the wrinkled. Okay, so genotype, that is the RR, wrinkle, that is the RR. So what will be the F1 generation? Just calculate, and the F2 generation, what will be the result, children? Okay, now another homework is that once you get the F1 generation, do the, we can say, the test cross, children. Test cross meaning, take the parent as the RR, that is the male, and the female, that is the smaller. Just see what you get, children, and do let me know the result, so that I can check and give it to you, children. If at all, if you did not understand, then please let me know. Okay, so that we can I can solve you personally, children. I hope you understand the topic. So we have finished the income, what you can say, the first part, introductory part, monohybrid cross. Okay, and after the monohybrid cross, okay, once it has been finished, children, Mendel gave the law, that is the law of dominance and the law of segregation. Now that we will study in the next lecture, children. Okay, so this is all about. I hope you understand the topic, and if at all if you did not understood, please let me know. Okay, thank you.